You rise and you fall on habits.
When you become an influencer, it gives you the edge that separates you from the competition. The GIP initiative, the Global Influencers Partners Program, is designed to expose you to over 5 billion potential consumers across the world. When you are a rising star in business and you need visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, and cash flow optimization, positioning yourself to become a global influencer may be the ideal tool that you need in your arsenal to win in business. I encourage you to join the GIP initiative and position your business to build confidence, trust, and credibility and cash flow optimize the fastest.
And one of the habits that you need to learn, apply, and master is titled proactive leadership. I mean, have you ever asked yourself what is the number one reason people fail in business and people fail in life? And let's go through a list of things, and I want you to tell me which one of these concepts is the number one reason why businesses fail. Is it lead generation and client conversion? Is that the reason why businesses are failing? Is it access to capital and capital leverage? Is that the reason why businesses are failing? Is it access to market and market integration? Is that the number one reason why businesses are failing? Or is it proactive leadership and the will to apply oneself? When you get the answer, you may be absolutely surprised at what has been diagnosed as the number one reasons why businesses fail and why people fail in life. To be successful in business and in life, you must be proactive. Now, proactive leaders, they have three essential characteristics. One, they are masters at thinking ahead. But what exactly is thinking ahead, and do you know how to apply this art? Second, they are masters at seeing beyond problems. What does this comprised of? And third, they are masters at taking informed action to achieve desired results. The big question you want to be asking yourself, do you understand proactive leadership enough? The ecosystem of proactive leadership, are you building enough healthy habits around this to apply this to position yourself for greatness in business and in life? Today, I want us to go deep into this concept because moving forward, it is my intention to provide you with a content of information that will help you to be transformative in how you apply yourself at business and how you apply yourself at life. But just before I get into today's program, let me highlight what I'm going to be looking at today. Today, we will be examining proactive leadership in the context of client conversion optimization. And let me repeat this. Today, we're going to be examining what is proactive leadership, but we're going to be looking at proactive leadership in the context of client conversion optimization, because this is something that you want to focus on. But just before I get into today's topic, I want to say a couple of things. Proactive leadership is about stepping out of your comfort zone. Many of you, you're too comfortable in your comfort zone, and being in that place of comfort is not enabling you to attain your dreams and your hopes and your aspiration. But in spite of the fact that you're aware of this, you're still comfortable in your comfort zone and you have become complacent in your comfort zone. You have to step out of your comfort zone, because if you remain in your comfort zone, you will be the prey, not the predator of your dreams and your hopes and your aspiration. You will be the prey. And that's the last thing that you want to become, the lunch of your dreams and hopes and aspiration. You want to apply proactive leadership in the most effective and efficient manner. And that's what's going to position you for success. Proactive leadership, the leaders, they step out of their comfort zone. Are you prepared to step out of your comfort zone as a rising star in business, as a sales communication professional? Proactive leaders is about embracing the pain. You see, there are many persons, you have dreams and hopes and aspirations, but as you begin to take steps towards embracing your dreams, you start to experience some pain. And when you start to experience pain, you take flight. You don't want to put up your hands and fight So you take flight. You got to embrace the pain. Proactive leadership is about growing through the pain. Something spectacular happens. When you embrace the pain, you set your frame of mind up to learn from the experience. And the more you learn from the experience, you learn what to do and what not to do. You learn how to do it better. And that literally sets you up to grow, all right, to grow. And to grow means that you have enhanced knowledge of how to access capital. You have enhanced knowledge about the client conversion optimization process. You have enhanced knowledge of the sales communication process because you have embraced the pain and you've grown through the pain. And that's what proactive leader is all about. So I want to put you in the right frame of mind as we do that deep dive into today's program, the ultimate plain client conversion. These are habits that you need to form because you rise and you fall on habits. And one of the habits that you need to learn, apply, and master is proactive leadership. Why? Proactive leadership will position you for growth, success, and expansion. So if you want to grow and you want to be successful and you want to expand that growth, my advice is commit the time, the talent, and the resources to really learn, apply, and master what is proactive leadership. Now let's look at proactive leadership in the context of client conversion. One of the first things that you learn about being a proactive leader is the art of thinking ahead. But what exactly are you going to be thinking ahead about in the context of the client conversion optimization process? Because in a business, if you are not converting, you're failing. And these are concepts that you want to think about. But as we talk about the proactive leaders and thinking ahead, what are those things that you should be thinking ahead about? Let's get into this. Before you innovate products and services, you want to first of all think ahead of who is your ideal client. That might sound like common sense, but I want to assure you common sense is not as common as you would want it to be. Because the reality is that many rising stars in business, as you get into business, you assume what are the needs, wants, and expectations of the ideal client. And then you innovate based on that assumption. So if you innovate based on assumption and then you recognize that the assumption is not strategically aligned to the needs, wants, and expectations of the ideal client, what happens? You have mismatch. You have left side shoes that you're trying to fit onto your right side foot to work like that. So you want to think ahead of these issues. So before you innovate products and services, ensure that you identify who is the ideal client. But I want to get deep into this, and some of you may get scared. And if you get scared, it means that business is really not for you. All right. My role here is not to tell you it's all easy and it's all nice and dandy. My role is to really help you to see the harsh realities of doing business, the harsh realities of the client conversion process, and to put you on a pathway that you can navigate to get there easier once you're ready for business. Some people are really not cut out to do business. So to identify the ideal client is not as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's a process that you need to evaluate. And failure to conduct this evaluation, it means that you have a challenge. And let us discuss this a little bit. How do you go about identifying the ideal client? Identifying the ideal client is like a dating game. And many of you, I'm certain that you would have been on a date with your spouse. So before you jump into the sack, you've been on a date and you went on 1 date and 2 dates and 3 dates and 4 dates and 5 dates. And those dates are not being orchestrated simply because you want to go on date. If you're clever, the reason you're going on those dates is to ensure that you're equally yoked. That's a biblical term. All right, you're equally yoked. To ensure that you're equally yoked, you're doing an assessment. You're doing an assessment of your partner, and your partner is doing an assessment of you. That is a typical example of what identifying the ideal client is. You want to know that your spouse, she is a good mother figure. You want to know that the spouse is a good wife figure. You want to know the spouse is a good home care provider. You want to know these things. And the only way you can know these things is by investing the time, the talent, and the resources to collect this body of knowledge. You can't assume this. The reason many relationships end in divorce, many marriages end in divorce, is because you assume you understand the partner and you didn't take enough time to invest enough time into learning the partner. So after a time, you recognize that you were not equally yoked. And at that time, it might be affecting many other persons because while you weren't equally yoked, you were doing equally yoked things. And then you have an offspring, you have one or two, and then they're trapped in the middle of two parents who are unequally yoked. And what happened? You end up in the divorce court. And what happened? You're fighting over the asset. And what happened? You're showing you're disgruntled, and you become that example to the kid. What we are saying here, that is not the path where you want to go down as a rising star in business who are mastering the client conversion optimization process. That is not the path that you want to be on. To be on this path, it means that you have built a relationship with the ideal client and you have lost the ideal client simply because you didn't take the time, the talent, and the resources to understand your ideal client. So to identify your ideal client is similar like the dating game. You want to be certain that you're equally yoked. In this context, what we're saying is that you want to ensure that you understand the ideal client based on their demographic biodata markers. That's a little complicated. You want to ensure that you understand your ideal client based on the psychographic biodata markers. You want to be certain that you understand the ideal client based on their geographic biodata marker. And it's this body of knowledge that really sets you up, all right, sets you up to be more strategic in the client conversion process. You see, the more you understand about your spouse, the more you understand about the ideal client, their needs, wants, and expectations, their dreams, hopes, and aspirations, is the better able you are to innovate products and services that complies and possibly exceeds their expectations. So you complied with their expectation and you supersede their expectations. What happens there? You have a perfect matchmaking process. You have an equally yoked situation that is taking place here, and that is a recipe for customer loyalty, or in the case of marriage, you have a healthy marriage lasting for decades. The big question you want to ask yourself, are you investing enough time to understand your ideal client long before you get to that point of innovating products and services? One of the reasons you're going to fail is because you're not building healthy habits around investing adequate time to truly understand the biodata markers of your ideal client. You're like the guy who wants to see the girl and you just want to jump into the sack. You want to jump into the sack. You don't want to get to know the person before you get into the sack. You just want the cash flow optimization, and you don't want to know if you're in a position of strength to satisfy the needs, wants, and expectations of the ideal client and supersede their expectation. You don't want to know that. You just want the cash flow. You want to get into the sack. And here is where you get a hit and miss. Here's where you create the environment for dissatisfaction and for hurt to take place. And you're going to set yourself up for a disaster. That's not how you want to play the game. The first concept that you want to really zero into as we talk about thinking ahead, as it relates to the client conversion process, before you innovate products and services, you want to ensure that you're able to identify your ideal client. So I trust that you had enough information here. Now that you identify the ideal client, what's the next step that you want to be thinking ahead about? Before you innovate products and services, second, you want to identify the specific needs of your ideal client, the specific needs of the ideal client. And this is something that you really want to invest the time, the talent, and the resources to really understand. The reason a relationship is going to have longevity is because this analysis was done. So this could be spousal relationship and this could be business relationship. The reason a relationship is going to have longevity is because you have invested the time, the talent, and the resources to understand the specific needs of the ideal client. Isn't that what business is all about? I taken the time to understand the specific needs of the ideal client and to ensure that I really understand those specific needs. And let's go a little deeper into that. Your spouse might be the kind of individual that likes to travel and see the world. Your spouse might be the individual that is very social and wants to interact with people. They want to be intellectually stimulated. Are you aware of this? And what I'm saying, in a spousal relationship, if you don't know this and your spouse is being, those desires are being suppressed, they're going to be some point it's going to boil over. If it doesn't boil over, there's still an establishment that the spouse is dissatisfied because you're not aware of this. So you cannot address the issue. You cannot address their specific needs. That could be a recipe for disaster. The same principle applies to you in business. You are building relationship with the ideal client, but you're not taking the time to understand the specific needs of the ideal client. But you're excited to provide products and services for that ideal client. Products and services that is completely non-aligned. What's going to happen there? They're going to reject your offer, and they're going to go to persons who are given a better offer. You might call it cheating, but they're going to go to persons who are going to be making better offer, largely because you did not spend the time to understand the specific needs of the ideal client. And because you didn't understand the specific needs of your spouse, you can't deliver on expectations, and you can't even play the game where you can deliver above expectations. So in business, you want to take the time to understand the specific need. And let me explain a couple of things to you, and I'm going to go a little deeper into it as I start to look at seeing beyond problem. You're going to have this challenge because you are not accustomed to using data to inform your business decision-making process. You're the master of speculation, and I keep saying that speculation is the godfather of debt, the debt of your business. You have to kick speculation to the curb. You have to embrace data. We're going to talk about data in a while. As you understand the specific needs, step 2, of the ideal client, what follows this? Thinking ahead. All right, thinking ahead is a sequence to this whole process. Now that you identify the ideal client, middle class and upper class or the average class, you identify your ideal clients based on their biodata markers. You went one step forward, you identify their specific needs. You know what your spouse likes. So every time you go to town or you travel, you bring something nice for her, and her face just lights up because you know what she likes, and you invest in what she likes, and you give her what she likes, and she feels excited. It adds more spice to that relationship. Call it customer care. Now that you know all of this, this is where the other part, the last part that I'm going to talk about here. You identify the ideal client, you identify their specific needs. You are now in that position of strength. You are now in that position of strength to provide products and services that reaches their expectations and exceeds the expectation. Yes, so every time you go on that travel, you're now able to bring the chocolate or bring the expensive jewelry, and you're able to go beyond their expectations. And think about your business being able to do this. Think about you and your proactive leadership. Think about you building healthy habits around this and what it's going to do for your business. Because first of all, the habits that you have formed, you have invested the time, talent, and resources to understand your ideal client. Habit 1, you have invested time, talent, and resources to understand their specific needs. Habit 2, now that you have understand the ideal client and their specific needs, you are now going to invest in innovating products and services that reach their expectations and exceed their expectation. Habit 3, what is that likely to do for you and your business in terms of reaching the expectations of the ideal client, exceeding the expectations of the ideal client, and positioning their business to cash flow optimize? So this is one of the ultimate plays that you need to focus on. But this is not the beginning and the end. I said at the beginning, proactive leaders, they're gifted at 3 things. And I've just given you an example of how to apply this at level 1. And level 1 is proactive leaders, they think ahead. And these are things that you want to be thinking ahead about as you want to master the client conversion optimization process. Now, very often as you think ahead of these things, something else happens. You see, everybody can say, I want to start a business and get excited about that concept. Everybody can say that I want to be rich. I want to get excited about that concept. But saying that you want to be wealthy as a means of thinking ahead doesn't give the guarantee that you're going to be successful, because that's only one element of proactive leadership, thinking ahead. You can think ahead of these things, but very often as you think ahead about the things that you want to accomplish, guess what happens? You see problems, you see barriers towards those dreams. You want to own a home, you want to own a multifamily unit. You want to invest in real estate, and then you start to see the barriers. I don't have access to capital. I don't have access to the people that can give me the access to the capital. You're unlucky. You start to say all these things to yourself. You're not trained to do what proactive leaders are trained to do. Proactive leaders, they are masters at seeing beyond the problems. You are not. You are not. You start a business and you want to scale your business. You want to optimize your client conversion process, but then you're seeing all the barriers to your success story. And very often, many of you get stuck in the problem zone. You know what's being stuck in the problem zone? It's like you're going through the bush and suddenly see you drop into some quicksand. Whoops! And the quicksand just starts sucking you down, sucking you down. But guess what? They got some tree branches and tree trunks, and they got some woods and sticks all around you. And you're just focusing on the problem. You're stuck in the problem zone before you grab a tree branch, a tree trunk, and you pull yourself out of the quicksand because you see the solutions are all around you, but you're not seeing beyond the problem because you're stuck in the problem zone. You're being sucked in by quicksand. Proactive leaders are trained to see beyond the problem. Whatever the problem is, they're trained to see beyond the problem. And that is why you find that proactive leaders are very successful at what they're doing, because very often you see the problem and you run from the problem, or you get overwhelmed, consumed by the problem. But proactive leaders, they are looking at that problem. They're saying, my heaven, there are monies to be made if I can fix these problems. And I'm going to fix the problem because I am solution oriented. They take on the embodiment of the solution-oriented think tankers, and they embrace the solution. They embrace the problem. They grow through the pain. They master a solution. They provide that solution and they optimize that solution to cash flow optimize. They're not stuck in the problem zone. Now, I'm going to give you some solutions in terms of how you can get out of that problem zone. Because to start and scale a business, if you're not lead generating and client converting, you're going to fail. If you are not accessing capital or leveraging capital the way it's supposed to be leveraged, you're going to fail. If you're not accessing market and integrating your content into the market, you're going to fail. And most of all, if you're not applying proactive leadership with the will to win, you're going to fail. Now, let's get a little deeper into the second trait of the proactive leaders. They are masters at seeing beyond the problem. They don't ever get stuck in the problem zone. So the next time you are feeling stuck in the problem zone, you have dreams and hopes and aspirations, and you want to achieve so much more with your life, but you just feel stuck. You feel as though you're on the treadmill and you can't get off of the treadmill. Ask yourself, am I applying proactive leadership mindset? And perhaps you would need to look at this content over and over and over again, or book a free consultation, book a consultation that can help you. They say a meeting, with the right mind can save you hours, days, months, years of being in that problem zone. We know just how to get you out of that problem zone. So let's get into this. Proactive leaders, they are trained to see beyond the problem. Why? Because they understand data. They follow data. Follow the data and you could never go wrong. The reason you are going wrong, the reason you're not getting the results that you want in business and in life is because you're following the wrong data, or you're following no data at all. I want you to think about it. The reason you're right where you are right now in business and in life is largely because you're following the wrong data, you're following no data at all, or you're following the right data, you're in the right place, you're right where you want to be. Now let's talk about this a little bit. There are many persons, they depend on an assumption, they depend on a speculative data. There are three types of data that I talk about very often. You have speculative data, and I talk a lot about it. You don't need speculative data. If you want to see beyond the problem, you can't speculate your way out of the problem. It's not the smartest thing to do. Speculation is the godfather of debt. The debt of your dreams and hopes and aspirations, the debt of your business. It might even be the debt of your life because you're speculating. You might be walking into quicksand with all the solution around you, and you get sucked in by the quicksand because you get consumed by the problem. So you have speculative data, and that's the one you want to completely desist from. Kick it to the curve, kick it out. It has no space in the equation of positioning yourself to start and scale a top 100 company. It has no business in, you want to position yourself to optimize your income potential. Get speculation out. The reason proactive leaders are able to see beyond problems is because they are collecting data. Now, there are two other types of data. There is secondary data, and then there's primary data. And let's talk about this because I really want you to have this information that you can leverage to your advantage. I don't want to give you this information so you become a walking encyclopedia of the knowledge. I want you to become a walking encyclopedia of applying the body of knowledge, because knowledge is power, but application gives you your superpower. And you owe it to yourself to invest in yourself, enough confidence in yourself to apply yourself to get your superpower, to start and scale your top 100 companies, to position yourself for financial independence. Now, secondary data, it's positive and negative, because secondary data, when it is updated, it gives you accurate and reliable information. And to make informed and highly educated decisions, you need accurate and reliable data. But secondary data also stands the risk of being outdated. And when secondary data is outdated and you're dependent and relying on this secondary data that is outdated, it can cost you time, it can cost you money, it can cause you stress and sleepless nights, shoot up your high blood pressure. So you need to be conscious of the data that you're using to help you to make an informed and highly educated business decision or life decision. You don't want to speculate while you invest $100 million into a business startup. That type of speculation is going to hurt you, and particularly if you're taking debt, it's going to hurt you if you're taking your family, money, your mom and dad investment and their retirement fund, and your investors. You're going to hurt a lot of people, and that's not something that you want to do. So you want to be very conscious of your data collection, your data analytics, your data leverage, and your data mitigation. These are things that you want to position yourself to be an expert in. This is why proactive leaders win. They have this body of knowledge, and when you want to win, you need to invest to learn, apply, and master these concepts, or ensure that you have a subject matter expert by your side that can help you navigate this process. I believe in you, and it's time that you start believing in yourself. And this is how you get out of the problem zone. This is how you train the mind to see beyond the problem. The data, what does the data say? So you know you have to get rid of speculative data, get speculation out the door, kick it to the curb. Now you're learning that secondary data has advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages, secondary data comes at low cost. But if it is unreliable secondary data, the cost is high. You waste your time using the data. You waste the money invested behind the project because the data was wrong in the first place. It's going to cause you stress because you're seeing that you're wasting the capital and time. You're going to have sleepless nights because if you're taking debt or any other body money and you're investing it, wrong data, you're going to have sleepless nights if you got a conscience. And last but not least, it could be a recipe for you to have high blood pressure. And the facts are showing that high blood pressure is one of the number one killers in the world. That's reducing the life cycle, your life cycle. And that's not what you want. All right. Get the right data. So let's talk a little bit now about the right data. So we're talking about seeing beyond the problem. Seeing beyond the problem is not wishful thinking. It's hard work. You can do it, or you can have your team dynamic set up to help you collect this data, analyze this data, leverage this data, mitigate this data so you can make better, smarter, wiser business decisions or life decisions. The third element of the data is what we call primary data analytics. This data is pretty interesting because primary data is where the magic takes place. All right. Primary data is where the magic takes place. You can press all the right buttons. So because you have the right data, press all the right buttons and you get all the right reaction. You get a high reward, the measurable results, a predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. Because you got the data, you know the right button to press. I'm not going to say which button, but you know exactly the right button to press to get the high reward, the measurable results, the predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. Primary data means that you are strapping the boots up. You're strapping the boots on the feet, and you're going to the field and you're interacting with the ideal client. All right. It's not like you want to go and get married and then you send your best friend who is a womanizer to talk to the woman for you. What's going to happen there? The best friend will take the woman and cut it up, and you in trouble. You lose out there. You have to get the boots on your feet and you have to go to the market and you have to rap on doors and you have to activate the know, like, and trust. You want people to know you. You want people to like you. You want people to trust you. You want to collect this data about people, about the ideal client. And as you collect this body of knowledge about the ideal client, you now know that you rapped on the door of 1,000 persons, and out of the 1,000, you had a 60-40, 60 positive response, a 40 negative response. So you focus your energy on the 60 because the 60 say, okay, I need access to capital. Take one, you can provide them with capital. Out of the 60, we need access to markets. You take that because you know how to help them to access capital. Out of the 60%, the 60% says that I need access to market integration. You take that because you know exactly how to do that. So that primary data is what you're doing as a sample analysis of people needs, wants, and expectations. So you no longer have to depend on speculation. You no longer have to depend on secondary data that may be outdated because you're not relying with boots on the ground. All right? Boots on the ground. And you're collecting this body of knowledge and you're leveraging this body of knowledge in a manner that positions you to win. You see, proactively to see beyond the problems by collecting this data, analyzing the data, leveraging the data, and mitigating the data in a way that makes business sense. So perhaps you need to be trained how to apply proactive leadership mindset to the client conversion process, the client conversion optimization ecosystem. It is your ability to do this that's going to position you to win every time in business. Because what the primary data is going to allow you to do is to identify the ideal client, to identify their pain points, to identify how to access them, to identify their ability to pay, to identify their willingness to pay. So you understand the entire biodata marker of the ideal client. So when you press in buttons, you know the button that you're going to be pressing to achieve a desired end results. That's called the high reward, the measurable results, the predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. The data. Are you following the data? All right. So I trust that you're taking this body of knowledge. To see beyond the problems, you need the data. I want to be rich. What does the data say? I want to start a top 100 company. What does the data say? Are you speculating? Are you using our data, secondary data? Are you doing the research? You may have reliable secondary data, but which one are you using to help yourself to make a highly informed and educated decision as to how you're going to position yourself to get to financial independence? What is the data saying? You don't want to speculate about this. You can't see beyond the problem with speculation. You're going to be digging yourself deeper into quicksand. You want the data. All right, so let's go through this quickly. Data collection, data analytics, data leverage, and data mitigation. Are you doing that? Leaders, proactive leaders who master the art of seeing beyond problems, they are market oriented. You know what it takes to be market oriented? You understand how the game is played because you're mixing and mingling. You understand the ecosystem. You understand how to play the game. You understand how the game is played. You're market oriented. You understand people and people understand you. You understand their needs, wants, and expectations. You understand how to innovate products and services to reach those expectations. You're oriented. You're market sensitive. To be market sensitive is important here too because you got some people, they are market oriented. I know what they want, but they're still insensitive to respond to the specific need. It's like the spouse saying, I need some money to buy a Mercedes Benz. And he's screwing up your face. All he got enough money, and he can say, you ain't getting no money for buying no Mercedes Benz. You can drive a Toyota. So what happens? She finds somebody that can buy the Mercedes Benz, and he stuck with the Toyota. I'm being funny here, right? But in the context of business, okay, you need to understand the ideal client. We call it market oriented. And to be market sensitive, it means that you understand those specific needs. And so you can come to the third one. You could be market responsive. Now that you're market oriented, now that you're market sensitive, you could provide the Mercedes Benz that your spouse needs. And in this context, the spouse is the ideal client. And when you satisfy the interest of the ideal client because they got the money to pay for it and you exceed their expectations, what happens? What happens? You get customer loyalty, you get customer referral, you get the business that is positioned to be successful and is not positioned to expand. Proactive leaders, it's a different way of thinking. The big question, are you able to apply this body of thinking and knowledge to optimize your success in business and in life. Think about it. All right, think about it. It is your ability to do this that will consistently give you the high reward, that will consistently give you the measurable results, that will consistently gives you the predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. Are you following the data? Now, in conclusion, I want to say a couple of things that is very important. I started this program by saying you rise and fall on habits. You need to form healthy habits around all of these things. Take time to understand your spouse and their needs, wants, and expectations. Just don't reach your expectations. Try to exceed their expectations. Take the time to understand your ideal client and just don't reach their expectation. Do your best to exceed their expectation. That's what's going to position you for success. Get the data, right? Invest in knowing what your spouse wants. The last point that I want to emphasize and expand on here a little bit is the third characteristics of proactive leader. If you can recall them, one, proactive leaders that think ahead. Are you thinking ahead? Two, proactive leaders that see beyond problems. Are you trained to see beyond problems? And three, proactive leaders take informed action to achieve desired results. Do you know how to take informed action to achieve desired results? That's a big one. I can tell you this because there are many persons, you know what you want to accomplish, but you just don't know how to apply yourself to achieve it. And even in cases when you're applying yourself in the right direction and you hit some brick wall and you get some bumps in the road, your ego get bruised. And then you say, this is not for me. That's you giving up on your dreams and hopes and your aspiration. That's you giving up on financial independence. That's you giving up on starting and scale the top 100 companies because you weren't trained to take informed action to achieve desired results. You weren't trained to think like a proactive leaders. You weren't trained to think like proactive leaders do. So let's talk about the last part. The essential characteristics of the proactive leader. Their mastery, ability of taking informed action. But what does taking informed action means? It means four things, all right? Four things. The possibility exists that you have a lot of great ideas, but you may not be the best person at the stage that you're at to execute on it. And this is one of the reasons I continue to emphasize that relationship is the mother of all social systems. One of the habits that you need to form is the habit of building healthy, productive relationship with critical stakeholders. And not everyone can be considered a critical stakeholder. You want to ask yourself, do I have the right mentor in the context of client conversion? So we're talking here today about the ultimate play in client conversion, and we're looking at proactive leadership and how proactive leadership can be viewed in the context of client conversion. There are mentors that can really help you to understand how to master the client conversion process. And that's one of the things that we take pride of because we have we have developed the concept that we call the client conversion ladder. And when you begin to understand what is the client conversion ladder, you're like, wow, this thing is magical. It took us many years to develop that. But what if you're being mentored by an expert that can really help you to leverage this body of knowledge? So you're not dependent on your own knowledge, and there's nothing wrong with that. Perhaps the mentor is part of your team dynamic, and they're really helping you to understand a concept that we call the relationship vocabulary. What is your relationship vocabulary like? Are you investing 10 cents or no sense into building quality relationships with the right people? Relationship is what control the world. So if you want to be in control of anything, it's important that you start thinking about quality relationships with the right people. If you want to enhance the client conversion process, do you have the right mentor? If you want to access capital, debt, equity, credit, creative finance, and hard money lender, do you have the right mentor? Do you want to master the sales communication process? Do you have the right mentor? That's relationship. That's relationship. Relationship with the right people is what's going to help you to take informed action. But what exactly is informed action? Informed action is different from taking action. There's so many people in the world that you are taking action. They say work hard and you're going to get wealthy. Is that working today? Not necessarily so. Because working hard is not necessarily informed action. If working hard is not informed action, if you don't understand the end game, it's just blind hard work. And that's not the kind of action that we are talking about. We are talking about the action that you're interfacing with a mentor that has done this 1,000 times and 1,000 times over, and he's clear about the end results that he wants. His end results might be we're building a top 100 company, and he's not guessing about this, he's not speculating about this, because he has done this 1,000 times over, and he has the skill set and the knowledge set of how to do it. Do you have the relationship with this type of mindset, this type of people that can help you to take informed action to achieve desired results? There are many persons that may come to us from all over the world. They want to grow and scale a business. They want to access capital, and they say capital is so hard to get. And I'm like saying that's not quite true, because we can put you in contact right here and right now with people that can help you to access the capital that you need to grow and scale your business. And we can put the icing on the cake whereby we can help you to access the capital at 0% APR for 6 months, for 12 months, for 24 months. Can you imagine this? Your mentor is saying to you that we're going to help you to access capital, the much needed capital that you need to move your business forward at 0% APR. APR means annual percentage rate. Inform action. You, based on where you at, you may not have the entire knowledge of how the entire business ecosystem works. And there's no harm with that. You start where you start, but you must start. But you need to have a mentor that can help you to take informed action in the case that you are not in the position of strength to do so. Informed action is not guessing. Informed action is the action that you're empowered to take, where you know the high reward that you're going to achieve, where you know the measurable results that you're going to get, where you know the predictable outcome that you're going to get, and where you know exactly how to get this with the highest degree of accuracy. Informed. So you need to invest in relationship, get the right mentor. The second, get the right coach or coaches, because a mentor function different from the coach. The mentor may sit in the office and they may give you these advice and so on and so on and so on. But where do we see the coach? Think about a football match. Think about a basketball match. They're at the sidelines and they're cheering you on. Go, bro, go! I know you can do it. Do this! They're cheering you on. You feel motivated because they're there and cheering you up. Perhaps you need the right coach on your side. Get a sponsor. Get a sponsor. A sponsor in the context of client conversion can be magical, because the sponsors, they say, hey, we got work to do. Get it done. You got me as a client. And I got 10 more friends that want the job done, and I'm going to refer them to you. The sponsors out there, they got the connections and they're making things happen for you. We see this happen in selective cases. What if it becomes more collective? All right. Where in cases you may see the powers that be, they got selective people that they are empowered to achieve a specific objective. What if we are to remove race and color and creed and make this more universal? Perhaps you can be the one forming such an institution. But what I'm saying to you, they are social influencers. They are leaders who know how the game is played and how to play the game. And one connection with them, connecting with one of these individuals, can open up so much of doors for great things to happen. As time progresses, I will go deeper into all of this to really help you to unlock this body of knowledge and to really invest the time, the talent, and the resources in this. Because think about this. You're able to invest in building healthy, productive relationship with influencers, with social connectors, with social influencers, with community leaders. Think about this. And these persons are helping you to achieve your business objective. I'm just giving you some hacks. The last I'm going to talk about is supportive community in the context of client conversion. So the sky is the limit to strategies and techniques and tools that you can deploy to position your business to be successful. And perhaps it is time that you start thinking of how proactive leadership can be deployed in the context of your business growth and build healthy habits around everything that I would have said. The last thing that I'm going to say here, invest in building relationships with good mentors, with good coaches, with good sponsors. Ensure that you're a part of a supportive community that is pushing you forward, not pulling you back. Supportive community. That could be a chambers of commerce. That could be trade association. That could be government support agencies. That could be independent communication platform. Whatever it is, perhaps you may be using the collective. Great minds strive to use the collective. Why? Because you have a bigger vision. Food for you to think about. The ultimate play in client conversion. I trust that you would have enjoyed today's podcast. And remember, if you need more information, you feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to respond to you. We have a lot of supportive communities, so feel free to reach out to us. And if you ever need access to capital, we can help you with that in 50 states. Throughout the United States of America. If you need access to markets, we can help you with that. And if you really, really, really want to understand the ultimate play in client conversion, that's something that we can definitely support you with. But remember, you got to get some skin in the game, right? If you want to play the game, you got to play the game to win the game. And if you play in the game to win the game, you got to prepare to have some skin in it. Be blessed and see you in the next broadcast.
10X Branding and Marketing LLC, powering the next generation of unicorns. At 10X B&M LLC, we specialize in market research, brand innovation, market integration, and client conversion optimization. Our team of experts is dedicated to providing the strategic insights and innovative solutions needed to accelerate growth and unlock your company's full potential. Whether you're a startup looking to attract investors and your ideal clients, or an established business ready for market expansion, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Let 10X Branding and Marketing LLC fuel your journey to exceptional business success. Contact us now for a free consultation on how we can position your business to become a unicorn.